Do homeschool reviews make you nervous? Or have you wondered, what does a homeschool reviewer even look for? Or maybe, how can I get the most out of my homeschool review? Join me today for the first half of an insightful interview with seasoned homeschool reviewers Michele Switzer and Lori Horner.
I was all alone, but then you came along.
Welcome to the Home Educated Mind YouTube channel. I'm so excited today. I have some wonderful guests. They are both reviewers. I have Michele Switzer, who is a reviewer from Maryland, and I have Lori Horner, who's a reviewer from Virginia and West Virginia. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them, and then we're going to have a wonderful conversation, because haven't you ever wondered, what do I need to know for a review? How can I be more prepared? And getting to meet some reviewers might put your mind at ease. So first, I have Michele Switzer, and she is a graduate from the University of Maryland with a Bachelor of Science degree in secondary education in home economics. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she has been, for the past 25 years, been a home administrative support service. That's what you've worked in while you've been homeschooling your children for.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 9 years, you've participated you've taught students from elementary through high school, as well as for the past 12 years been a homeschool reviewer from Maryland, right?
Yes.
And what's exciting is on the 11th, your youngest son your son is turning 11, right on the same day. So your youngest son is turning 11, entering 6th grade, and she'll be celebrating her 30th wedding anniversary.
Yes, we get to celebrate together on the same day.
So that is wonderful and a great accomplishment all the way around. How old is your oldest child?
25.
25. Wow. All right. And then I have Lori. Now, Lori, I have you have your master's. What's your master's in?
It's in kindergarten through 8th grade.
Okay. So in elementary education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's from Marymount University in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? And you have been a reviewer for West Virginia and Virginia for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you, because of your reviewing, you went on and became an educational therapist with the National Institute of Learning Development, correct?
Yes.
And also Equipping Minds. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. And she's also been homeschooling for 16 years and has 2 daughters, and her claim to fame is that they are both graduating, one from college, from Liberty, and the other from high school. So
Correct.
done homeschooling at home, but but not been with students, and so continue to review.
Right.
Well, I'm so excited to have our conversation. So to begin with, maybe we should just take some time and define our terms. Can you just tell me what a review is? Maybe explain what a homeschool review is, and then what a reviewer does.
I mean, basically a review is just a chance for someone who is a proxy for the State Department of Education who has been approved either directly and under the state and local education or through an umbrella organization that has been approved to represent, to come in and check on the family and make sure that they're following the state regulation guidelines, that everything is being covered that needs to be covered.
And how often does a family have to attend a review?
For Maryland and for the organization that I work through, it's twice a year.
And what about you, Lori? Is it the same for Virginia and West Virginia?
No, West Virginia and Virginia are a little bit more relaxed in that you can do it once a year. So you have submit a portfolio with a reviewer, and you do that once a year at the end of your school year. To just submit a proof of progress. And so we're not even required to say that you're meeting state standards, but that your child is making progress according to their abilities.
Okay. And so you have, do either of you keep records? You keep kind of records on the families?
We do. We have a web-based platform where families, either we access it and fill out forms for them, and we give them access to their family folders, and they upload
Okay.
any of their records for their own storage.
And West Virginia and Virginia do not have that requirement. Parents are required to keep their reviews or their portfolios for, I think, 3 years, and they're required to keep that. And so I just keep the proof that they've been here and the certificate that I give them.
Now, imagine we are talking to 2 reviewers for 3 states. There are a total of 50 states, and I just feel like right now we ought to just say that each state has their own laws. And of course, like HSLDA is just a great place to go to find out what your state requires. Is that what you would recommend to people?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or your state's homeschool organization. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's amazing to think we're talking with the 2 of you. Our states all touch, don't they, pretty much? And yet, look how different already.
Yeah, for instance, our organization does follow the Maryland State Department of Education COMAR guidelines, but we add in Bible. So our particular organization, it may not match the Montgomery County guidelines either, but that's what we've set in place. So anyone who wants to enroll in the program that we're with just agrees to adhere to those.
Okay. So
and even in West Virginia and Virginia, we have a difference in what we're supposed to be reviewing. West Virginia, we see all of the subject areas. In Virginia, we're only required to look at language, arts, and math.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, it's very different. You want to know up front, maybe, what would you say to a parent? They should find out what the requirements are before they even choose who they're under, I suppose. Would that be correct?
Yeah, definitely. That I think probably every program offers all kinds of different things, ranging from a difference in what courses and credits are required and that are reviewed, all the way through, a cap and ground graduation or transcript services, or every organization's going to probably hit on different things. So ours has athletics. So if you're in this one, you can join the sports teams with the school that it's affiliated with. So I'm sure every one is so different.
Yeah.
Am I right? Because I know for me, when we started in Tennessee, I just did what everybody else did, right? I had met some friends who homeschooled. They were under a particular umbrella, so I just went to that umbrella, and that's who I was with for 10 years. And then when I moved to Maryland, I had a little bit more experience, but not much, because I just kind of found an umbrella school because that's what I was used to. But I was surprised that also a number of people would just go under the state public school. That was another option. It was an option in Tennessee as well, but I guess I just never even kind of knew,
And that's a great option in Maryland because it's free or it's included in your tax dollars, I guess. Whereas a private one, you're probably going to pay an enrollment fee.
Right.
And it's not an option in Virginia or West Virginia.
It's not?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
There is no state governing authority that will review portfolios in Virginia or West Virginia.
Wow. You have to find a reviewer, an independent reviewer.
If that's the option that you choose. So Virginia and West Virginia both allow you to do standardized testing at the end of the school year rather than do a portfolio.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So see, it's just amazing to me how unique education is and in all the different states. All right. Now, were there any other terms that we should talk about? Maybe we talked about a review and a reviewer, but maybe speak just briefly, because you'll hear the word portfolio. What does that mean?
Portfolio that I ask parents to bring is a sample of works from every subject area that they're required to have reviewed. So for West Virginia, it would be all the academic subjects, your language arts, your math, your science, your history, or social studies. And they would take samples of work from the beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of their year that is showing progress over the year. So asking them to have those goals set ahead of time so that they know what samples they're going to pull so that it shows the best idea of the progress that their child has made according to their child's individual needs and academic learning situation and the goals that the family has made. specifically?
Same for me. I would just add that I like for them to keep a reading list for, the elementary school kids. I think it's a good idea for the parents just to do that on their own. Maybe a list of field trips or activities that they've been a part of, concerts they've attended, any kind of recognition or acknowledgement. Maybe it was a piano recital, anything that shows what they've accomplished throughout the year in addition to those tests and writing assignments. Also, I don't want to see the textbooks. If it's a standard 5th grade math textbook, I don't need to see it. But if they have, for instance, put together their own 5th grade math, and it's a combination of flashcards, worksheets, a variety of something that they have created themselves as a course, I would like to just glance at that and see what they're using.
So, Michele, do a number of people make their own courses?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's pretty common.
Oh.
So instead of buying like a 3rd grade kit, or even different than that, a 3rd grade spelling book and like a vocabulary, maybe they put together from their own resources. It could be videos from YouTube. It could be anything, really. The sky's the limit.
If they were meeting with you, is this, and maybe this is a back question. So let's say I'm starting to homeschool. I've alerted my state, whatever my state requirements are. Then would I then seek out who I would report to, like maybe seek out your umbrella school, Michele, or you, Lori, and then would I meet with you? Like, would I make that first sort of appointment? We would go over what I was going to do for that year? And
for us, it just depends on the student and the family. We can make a call in the summer and they turn in their curriculum form. Okay. So the way we do it is they have to turn that in with what they're planning on doing. They could change it, but it's kind of like what they're planning on doing for each child for each year. And I look at it, and then if I see any red flags, I might make a call and say, hey, what about this? And that way, before we head into that first review in January, it's like, whoops, what did we miss? And so much time has gone by. So we try to do that.
We set some standards. Now, what about you, Lori?
There is no such requirement in Virginia or West Virginia. I do have parents who come to me and ask about things, but that's outside the purview of the state.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's wonderful. Okay, so yeah, because like we used to do what you kind of said, Michele, in Tennessee anyway. We would send in, I think I did that here in Maryland too. We would just send in what our intent was for the year. And then if things changed a bit, that was fine, but at least we were headed in the right direction. And if I was, I never did, but if they called me, your child's in 11th grade, they really shouldn't be doing, grade 2 math, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, great. All right. So that's kind of the portfolio. That's the reviewer. You have your reviews. And maybe also, okay, so we did kind of talk about an umbrella school. So I appreciated, as we were talking a bit, you talked about specifically, Michele, just kind of saying to keep them on track. What would you guys say, and maybe Lori, you could start, what would you say is, when you think of yourself as a reviewer, what's your main purpose? What's your main purpose?
So my main purpose, I feel like, is to meet with the family to find out what their goals and expectations are for their children. I have a lot of students who come who are outside of the normal curriculum for whatever reason. They are behind or they're ahead. And so what is progress according to that student? And so we get to help the parents and families kind of work within that venue. Knowing as a certified teacher and having experience with different developmental stages, where students tend to be at different levels. And so helping them to figure that out. And so when they come and they bring their work, we can say, maybe next year some remediation and this would be worthwhile pursuing, or you guys are way ahead on this, but it's progress according to their students.
So I like that. I like the idea, and I think this is one of the beauties of homeschool, is that you get to work with the individual family, look at where they are, and it sounds to me like you're saying the goal is, how can we help this student progress according to their abilities? Mm-hmm. So you have somewhere in mind that they're going,
Mhm.
but it's not the same. Okay, you have to be at this mark at this time.
Right.
That's wonderful. And would you say, in your experience, have you seen that? And maybe, I don't know, I think that would be rewarding.
Absolutely. It's really neat to have that experience and get to know families over time to say, hey, maybe this year you could work on spelling a little bit. I noticed that was a little bit lagging, and then have them come back the next year and they're so excited to show you what they've done. And it's kind of that outside accountability, and the students are looking at me going, did I pass, Mrs. Horner? And like, of course, it's your mom who's giving the grades, but it's just fun to see them year after year, and to know that you had that hand in helping them, and to be that person, and to say, hey, you're really ahead in this and you're doing great. And I love the way you pursued your interest in this area by meeting all the benchmarks, but yet it may look outside of the box of, the typical curriculum. So, yeah.
And Michele, I want to hear what you have to say on this topic too. But again, it's just another beautiful picture of the flexibility in homeschooling and the diversity of opportunity, and individualization, I think, it provides. But what would you say?
I would say really similar. We like to come alongside the moms and be a help, a friend to them. Let them know they're on track, they're doing great. A lot of homeschool moms don't really know what other homeschool moms do. And for us, the key language is regular and thorough. That's it. Are you regularly and thoroughly giving your children home instruction in the home? And specifically, it does need to be in the legal requirements of English, math, science, social studies, art, music, health, and PE. But how are you doing? What can I do to help? Are you giving your kids what they need? And for me, it really, as the child grows older, elementary is just come alongside and great job. And I've had lots of kids, get out their tin whistle and play me a song, or can I recite this poem for you? Or I even had one say, look at the cartwheel I learned for PE. And I'm like, great, good job. And sometimes the mom will pull me aside and say, can you ask them to work a little harder on their math? And the mom can sort of use me as her heavy, like, I need to pretend like you're really, and so the kid is working hard to meet the expectations of not only the mom, but this reviewer person who comes in. And I think that's helpful for the mom. But as the students get older, it is important to make sure that the parents are setting up their child through high school in an academic way where they're going to graduate with the right number of credits, and where they're going to be able to, if they choose to go on to college, have a transcript that's competitive and able to apply for scholarships or interviewing. So I think for me, I look at it as I'm really just there as a support and encouragement. Any red flags, of course, I would be faithful to report, but most of the time it's just great job. How can I help? How can I give you advice? And then as the children grow older into high school, let's count those credits and make sure that, whoops, we're in our senior year and we haven't gotten that tech credit in. Let's catch that before you get to the graduation time and you're left with a hole. Really just offering support.
Well, and I liked what you said about it's a support for the mom to, not just like for them as the parent teacher, but somebody to come alongside that the students are accountable, that they have a relationship with, and want to please.
Yeah, really just a celebration. Last year we had one sweet family where we got out popsicles, and the children were so excited to show me all their artwork and their math tests, and we had popsicles, and we just celebrated what they had accomplished that year, rather than the mom having to cram for some test and then pass this test and it was stressful, but really just it's a chance to celebrate and go back over the year and look at what we've accomplished together as a team.
Right. But I was thinking though of a parent being able to whisper to you.
Yeah.
Further on math.
Tell them to work harder on their times tables.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Don't you think it's amazing what an outside, it's like a teacher in a school or a Sunday school or whatever, or a gym coach, that outside voice doesn't have to say a lot to really reinforce and help. So that's kind of fun that you are there as that support for the parent. Because I know for me, I was kind of worried every time I went to a review. I don't know what I thought they were going to say. If they're going to say, Erin, you can't homeschool anymore, or, like your kids are terrible. I don't know. But, because I think I was more the one that wanted to please, wanted to know this was good, wanted to know my students were learning and growing. Because I think most parents, wouldn't you say that's their fear? Their fear is this comparable? Am I doing enough? Am I doing well? Are my kids going to be okay?
For sure.
I would usually come to a review kind of from that angle, but I like the idea of your partner. I think I'm hearing more and more from you both that you're partners.
More times than not, I'm telling Mom, you're doing great. Like, stop overachieving. Like, you're blowing away what is required of you. So just relax and enjoy it a little more. That's more often the time than very few times is it, you need to bump it up a little.
I agree. Yeah. It's been much more that way.
Yeah, that's more your experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moms. So let's think about the newer to homeschooling parents. What kinds of fears might they come to you with, or what do you see that you could speak to those moms? I
think it's like what Michele was saying. I think parents are unsure of what is required of them a lot of the time. They have the idea of, what did I meet the law requirements of? Yes, I turned in my notice of intent. I'm here doing a portfolio, or, but what does my child need in order to graduate high school, right? What am I doing enough? And I think it is just that fear of failing our children, right? Really is, and that was certainly my fear. And am I going to completely mess up my children for the rest of their life, or will they be productive citizens? And so, talking them off that ledge is really a large part of what I think I do. And so helping them to alleviate those fears.
So what kinds of things do you see? Those sound all the positives, but are there any times in a review when you do see a parent or a family and maybe they're not where they should be? What kind of things do you see that would indicate that? And how would you handle it?
I have seen literally maybe fewer than 5 or 10 over the course of, how many tens and tens and tens of families that I've seen. And I think one case I'm remembering is the child was only doing a few worksheets a day. And to be honest, for the child's age and grade, it wasn't the end of the world. But I did feel like Mom was having so much going on in her life that that's just what she was doing. And so I just encouraged her. She didn't get turned in any way. It was just hey, what about this? And would you be willing to try this? And would you be willing to call me in like 4 weeks? And could we talk and see how's it going? Don't quit in May. Can we try doing this maybe even all summer, because she was really pretty behind. And would you be on board to give this a try? And let's keep touching base once a month and see what kind of progress you can make and reassess before, repeating a grade or whatever. That's one example.
That's wonderful. And I love how it was positive and how there was an accountability of time. Can we talk in 4 weeks? It sounds like your position is just really helping these families to be successful.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was, the child was young, but it sounds like it was manageable to correct, which is exciting.
Right.
Sometimes, like you said, we have these high expectations, but then we also get frustrated and quit when we don't need to quit. When you can tweak and adjust and maybe go on. And did they go on?
They did. And I asked her to quit all the extra history and she was doing all kinds of stuff, but the child really needed to get the reading, the numbers and the letters. Numbers and letters, let's just nail that down. And then maybe we can add some of this extra stuff back in. Yeah, she did.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And what about you, Lori?
Yeah, same thing. I've had maybe 3 or 4 families over the course of time that really weren't showing acceptable progress, and so, and in those cases, I do the same thing. Let's consider what we can do to help bolster your child's education. What does your day look like? Tell me about it. What kind of feedback are you getting from your student? And most of the time if it's the younger ones, it's because they don't want to do the work and mom isn't willing to be the heavy, right? And they're allowing their child to kind of rule their day. And then, I've only had one high schooler that came to me and they didn't show any progress over the year and weren't willing to make the sacrifice of actually having their child do schoolwork. And that really was what it came down to is, and again, coming alongside them saying, hey, let's put this into your day, and what does it look like, and how did that work for you? So
I'm going to step into, because you're both very experienced homeschool parents. So to step in, what kind of advice would you give a parent if they are having that struggle? Can either of you speak to that? If they're having that struggle of their student not doing the work and them having to be heavy. Lori, you look like you're not in your head.
Well, having 2 different children who are completely opposites in personality, one exceptionally compliant and one who would fall out of her chair at the thought of doing math, I can, come alongside parents and recognize, and always encouraging them, you have to be the parent in addition to the teacher in this case. And so that might look like coming in the back door a little bit. If you have a strong-willed child, you may have to approach things a little differently than you do with your compliant children. And so being a student of your student and understanding how they learn best and what kind of approach you need to take, but you still have to do it. It isn't, a matter of just allowing them to rule the day. And so you're committing to homeschooling, and while you're committing to homeschooling, you have to do the homeschooling. So, yeah. So.
And I think that probably is a beautiful thing with both of you in this field, knowing the authority, but also the experience, being able to say, yeah, I have had that with my student, or I've struggled, in seasons. And I even like what you said, Lori, and know it to be true, that our children in our own home are so different. Mm-hmm. And, in the seasons of your life are so different. Well, that is wonderful, wonderful information. I appreciate your input so much. I hope this interview has helped you to feel more confident and better equipped for your homeschool review. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to get notified when we release new content. Until then, check us out at thehomeeducatedmind.com, and remember, yes, you can homeschool.